So to start the second half of the documentary, this is where Kevon has now started to be a creative. So this is where it begins. No, it started before, but you know. These fabrics, Queen show. We're gonna go through some footage with some of the queens I've worked with. Nicole Garcia, Shamelia Arundel, Lenika Lee, and these experiences have been timeless. Like you can't buy, cash can't buy that. Them memories, no. Let's go. We're gonna take it today.
I met Kevon, probably it would have been somewhere in 2012, 2013 when he worked at the Pink Mongoose. And he always seemed to be very quiet. But then I remember having a conversation with him and realized that there was a lot more to Kevon. In 2014, he took part in the Independence Fashion Show, and he really showed his true potential there. I mean, I would have seen it before, but then what he displayed on stage was like no other. And I was the chairperson at that time, you know, and it was just amazing. It was different. What I admire about him is the way that he confused everything that he does with fashion. So I know that he's involved in interior design, event planning, he's involved in costume design, interior design, and I really admired what he did because I realized that he had the ability to fuse everything together. And in 2015, when I was commissioned to change the landscape of the Carnival Queen show, I thought it would be nice to also have a change of guards. And I brought the idea to the minister where I felt that we needed to give the younger people an opportunity, because something that I have an opportunity to witness is the fact that Antigua is bursting in the seams with talent, and the world needs to have an opportunity to witness it. So I petitioned to them to have the young designers on that year, and they went along with it. And the rest is history. And Kevon has always been very consistent. I call him the passive bear because he is very passive, but then he's very aggressive when he has to get anything done, for those who know him well. And for me, it is, I wouldn't even say I'm grateful for the opportunity. I am, but it's a blessing for me to be given the opportunity to be around such talent. And I really admire them, and I just wish for me that, you know, Kevon would continue to do what he does best, which is basically everything. And that someday he would become very successful. I also told him that when he does become successful, he can't forget me, because I'll haunt him. But all jokes aside, I love Kevon, super talented, very good soul, you know, very, very good soul, very, very talented. I can't say it enough. And I love Kevon. I love him a whole ton.
I am so proud of him, and I never knew him. I met Kevon through Instagram, literally. I think it was 2013 or 2014 when they had the National Fashion Show, and JC wore this black chiffon stone dress, this gorgeous black beautiful dress, and I said to myself, oh, okay, I love it. And then 2015 they decided to change the age for Carnival Queen, and it became Miss Antigua Barbuda. And I was like, all right, I'm entering this thing, I'm on the brink, or else I can't enter ever again, so this is it. And I know who's going to make my dress. And that's where the relationship began. It's been just that ever since. So picture it, pageant night, costume, wind blowing, feathers. I'm like, Kevon, this thing has wings and it has a big train and it's heavy. I don't think that I can go on stage with the wings. He's like, yeah, you can, man, because that's the element of that's the costume. It needs the wings. Like, oh, Lord of mercy. I don't even think I hesitated when they called me, and then I was like, all right, just do this, and I went out, and I was like, all right, I love it. I'm feeling it. It was me, the costume, and just hoping for the best as I went on the stage and did my best, and I think that I made Kevon proud. I did. So I'm very A-line. Kevon is creative. So Kevon drew this beautiful white gown, but it had a lot of symmetry. And it was a cut here, a little chiffon there. And I'm like, no, I don't think we're gonna do this one. Anyway, we went through the whole process. I mean, ordered fabric from the States, got it, made it, and it was like a no for both of us. And then he came back with this gorgeous gold and purple drawing, and it was maybe the week before the show where they're scampering, ordering feathers, sticking on feathers at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning at this house in Johnson's, and just really getting into the process. And Kevon, there was never a, oh my God, I'm too tired. It was always, we're going to push and go through. We're going to get this done. With the costume, the same thing. We're sticking on feathers, very hands-on. And I love his patience. And I love the way when we're getting down to the wire, instead of being frustrated, that's when he really evolves, I guess, because that's when he's just so focused that you get the best out of him. And so I guess there's method to his madness, and it works for him, and it worked for me, and I enjoy every piece that I had from Kevon.
So I'm here with two of the young ladies that I would have designed for Miss Antigua Barbuda, Miss Lenika Lee and Nicole Garcia. We're just here chilling up at the beautiful Clarence house. We're going to relive some of our experiences where I would have designed Lenika's dress and costume for her show, and Nicole's dress for her show also. So guys, how did we meet?
Come from my house?
Yes,
definitely.
So when I was younger, I used to work at the Pig Mongoose, where we would have the annual tea party. It was a girl guides tea party, and these two were a part of that organization. We would have worked along as models and designers, so it was kind of fitting when the opportunity came around to kind of design for them, and because I kind of knew them personally, it kind of gave us a bond, like a different kind of feeling. So what was it like working with me, the both of you? What was it like meeting me? I think it wasn't like a big thing because we already knew each other before, but meeting me as your costume and dress designer, what was that experience like?
Well, I personally actually chose you. So I saw you from the list and I said, no, I want to work with Kevon. Maybe because I already had experience, from Girl Guides. I saw the cardboard dresses that you did for us back when we had that to do at the governor's house. I was like, no, I know Kevon is going to give me something really creative and something that's going to be form-fitted for me. So I want to work with Kevon for this gown.
Well, I was paired with you out of I don't know how many, but when I saw the name, I was like, okay, yeah, because I know you're ready, and we came up with our concept. I think that year.
With Elements or something?
Yeah, it was Elements, and we chose water,
Yes.
So my
definitely.
dress had this.
Crazy. Her dress had everything.
Had
Everything.
some
It had
stones
wires,
and-
it had stones,
Yeah.
it had an overlayer, it had an underlayer, it had lace.
Different shades of blue.
That stage. I remember that the original design for the dress was not what we took to the stage. Originally we had this kind of this lovely black dress. And after meeting you, sitting down with you, having conversation and stuff, I'm like, hey, she's a little princessy kind of girl, pearls, stones, and I literally just changed the entire concept just to fit you.
Yes, I remember that we actually ended up picking champagne.
Yes.
Yeah, we were
That was the name of the
a
dress.
champagne bottle. And that, remember, we actually won best dress. So
Let's just say it's so simple. We want best dress, guys.
yes. Like, there's no, we don't even need to add a lot to that. We won best dress.
We did. And like
So,
it wasn't
It
like
was that turned up.
yeah, and it wasn't like a simple process like we just went in there expecting, hey, we got this. We worked our ass off for
Yes,
that.
we did.
I remember Nicole practicing that walk in the gown down to the night before the show. It wasn't right, and we just kept on going and going and going until it was perfect. Nicole went on stage despite of what happened behind the scenes, backstage.
Yep.
Nobody would ever know. She looked so perfect in that dress.
I was having fun with that
She
dress,
delivered
right?
it. I can assure you that it's only going to get better from here. We'll see where it takes us. So, 2016, Insane Mass Troupe approaches me and they're like, hey, we've seen you doing stuff and we want you to be a part of our design team. Let's fly out to New York, get fabrics, meet designers, let's get it done.
So the team was put together and the next step was coming up with the designs. So that was a task because, we have what should I say, an all-star cast of local designers with John Hashem and Kevon. And I remember the first day we sat and we started to brainstorm the different team. I just felt the creative juice flowing from everyone. So we were able to put all our concepts together, all our drawings together, and then we decided to journey to New York so that we could have gotten all our supplies, our feathers, our trims, everything, because I really wanted to give them an opportunity to bring out all their creative style. And what better way than to go to New York where everything was available. So we got to New York, went down to New York City and started to shop. And I remember these guys walking in, the stores, and they were just overwhelmed because there was so much to choose from. And we were able to put everything together. But I think also the New York trip, it brought out a lot from Kevon because he was able to interact with other designers in the field that he met in different stores. And I remember he met Raul from Trinidad, and he was so happy. He was like, Captain, that's Raul over there, And I remember him going over, introducing himself, telling Raul that he's a big fan and everything.
2015, I actually had the pleasure of meeting this very, very shy individual. I had no clue who he was. I was out and about in my own business in New York City, one of the top stores where we all shop for feathers and gems and trims. And to the corner of my eye, I'm seeing this person. That led to introduction, and we chat a bit, and I get to know him. I get to know what he was about. Automatically, I was drawn to him. He's very confident. He has the drive to really put anything from paper to bring alive. And I felt very honored when he told me that I'm one of his mentors, and it was the first time we were actually meeting. And I'm so happy to see him, developing into this young gentleman that he is today, artistically and creatively as well. So, Kevon, it was a pleasure meeting you. I am happy and honored to be part of your process, and I wish you all the very best in your design future.
Coming out of our theme in Rio, we had just won Band of the Year, and we wanted to expand our design team. And we are very big on having our designers locally. So I went on Facebook looking around to see, who local designers I could have, bring on board. And I saw Kevon's work. It jumped out at me. I love how he played with his feathers, the color scheme that he was using, because at the time he was heavily into embellishments. And I reached out to him. He was very excited, and we met. It was him, Jana, and Shem, and the Tribes production was really a one of a kind. So we're back from New York, and it's now time to build a costume. So we have Shem, and we have Jana and Kevon as the costume builder. And to work we went. Every time we build a section, we always saying, boy, that is a strong costume. It was just a big joke, and it's just a testament of the confidence that we had in what we were doing at the time. So every time a section finished, we look at each other and say, boy, that's a very strong section. So even up to today, when we launch a costume, whether it be Insane or Kevon doing any work, we always saying that is a very strong costume. And the production went pretty well. The band did well on the road. We were able to, showcase the different tribes around the world, and it went well. I must also say that not only did Kevon help in the costume design and building, he also basically helped in setting up the mask camp. And for anyone who remembered when we were at Redcliffe Key, walking into that mask camp was magical. And I must say that he is multi-talented, full of potential, and I have no doubt he has a very, very, very big future ahead of him.
So when do we start this conversation?
I can take it back to 2008.
2008.
That was when this started. That was the breath of...
Yes. The year I sat down and I was like, I want to be a part of this. And my sister was like, no, you're too young.
But why? But yeah, it's probably too young. It's an adult band, so to speak. So you're under 18, right?
I was.
Yeah, so.
But I remember going into the Miss Mansion at the time because she took me there for a little preview and I was like, wow. Walking up the steps, you see paintings spiraling up the steps, you go into a room, a whole zebra printed room with this one red chair with a mask on. What was, I can tell you what my experience was like, but what was it like for you bringing on a younger designer to design for Miss?
Well, it was part of our philosophy.
Okay.
Again, it came out of the challenge that, we were importing costumes from Trinidad. At the time, we wanted to use young designers. We wanted to use designers.
Yeah.
But the question was, were they available?
The logistics of it, yeah.
Outside of logistics, they just were not. The known designers on island were involved in their own plans.
Okay, yeah.
They were already saturated with work, and we had to find ways to do it. But we have always wanted to, it's definitely, let's keep it at home. We have enough talented people here. So we started looking at the up and coming generation, which is where, young Kevon came into play, like, hey, let's keep our eyes on these guys. These are the guys that homegrown, talented, creative, they fit into our vision and our philosophy, and we definitely would want to utilize them.
Okay.
And your family. Sam is a part of the family. She never pitched and said her brother, but we had already looked and said, hey, Kevon is going to be a piece of the puzzle. We're going to grab him up before, he decides to go to his own thing, basically.
So I remember, for example, the design process, it started the year before production, where we sat down and you told me, okay, this is what we're looking for. We're going to create different prototypes. So in regards to, okay, we'll show one costume based on your approval, if you have to change the material, the colors, whatever. So that experience designing for you guys and giving that first prototype, I remember originally I had this concept of all white with colors added to it. And then when I first put it out there, like, okay, in terms of fabric choice, what if we did this? based on the masquerader sweating, and there are different elements that go into the design process. And after that, the name of the section was Surreal, I think. But that would have been one of the sold-out sections that year. And as a young designer, that spoke volumes to me, because just stepping in, putting my foot in, and now everybody's gravitating to specific sections that I would have been a part of, was the opportunity was amazing.
I mean, give yourself a lot of credit. I mean, again, you got a snapshot of what we're doing.
Yes.
We gave you the specs. This is what we're looking for. Gave you creative. You could have done what you wanted to do, more or less. But then we kind of brought it back.
Yes.
A big part of our process is getting feedback. So it's internal feedback from our team and what we think people would like. Our internal process is, our team.
Yeah, vets and...
We do a very rigorous script. But an additional element is that we get masqueraders. We have a handful of masqueraders that come in and give them a sneak peek of this is what it is, and we get their feedback. And then that feedback is funneled back to you, the designer, who then will make the tweaks based on that feedback. And it's production-wise as well. It's what's going to be available on the market as well.
What's trending,
fabric, those kind of things. And one big element is cost. So I know, as a creator myself, I can, if given a budget, an unlimited budget, I'd find, I'd have boats and helicopters and stuff. But with a limited budget, sometimes, we have to kind of bring it down within budget, so as not to have the most expensive costumes in the market as well.
Okay. And I find like, even as a creative, I look up to you a lot, because I've seen your creative vision and the way you execute and manipulate things, and I don't think everybody thinks the same. So in regards to an outcome of a project, whereas I can give someone else a project, or you're working along with another client and they're like, okay, yes, do this, and then I do it and they're like, oh my god, that's so good. I know if I do it and I come back to you, Tyler's gonna be like, okay, so...
Yeah,
and even if you like it, I'm still like, okay, does he really like it? So in terms of working along with you or working for you as a client, I have to put in that extra work, especially seeing that first Mist Mansion. I think that is what opened my eyes to a different level of creativity, because I grew up in a different space where I wasn't exposed to a full transformation, whereas a mass camp to me was an old building with sketches and people gluing things together, to now I'm walking to this space that is a museum of costumes. It's a different experience for a creative, and I have to thank you for that. Like, not everybody can just do that.
That is good. And you know what, I think sometimes creatives speak the same language, so we can be appreciative of our work.
Yes.
And we're the ones who say, hey, that's a good idea. But at the end of the day, so long as it translates and the patrons and the masqueraders and the mystics can relate to the effort that we put in.
That's true.
So long as that it gets to them and they understand and they buy into that philosophy, I think that's the end goal. Because yes, we can pat each other on the back and say, hey, that's the most creative idea. Oh, that was great.
But then you still have to make sure that they get it too.
But then, if it bypasses everyone else and they're just interested in the costume, or they're just interested in the sketches or whatever the case is, then are we doing too much? But I think we definitely have more or less translated.
Yes.
I think people appreciate the fact that there's not just your regular run-of-the-mill type.
There's that extra detail, extra eye for detail.
And it's one of those things that you have to do to kind of keep yourself in the game, keep yourself in the forefront of person's minds as well. This is the Mist difference, this is the Novek difference.
As creators, I think us owning our spectrum in terms of carnival, not even just carnival, festivals, culture, whatever it is, we have to own it and take it that further step. So whereas you guys would have pushed and initiated this new experience, that Mist experience, it's what are we going to do in 10 years? What are we doing in 50 years? Where are we taking this? We've already taken that lead, we need to keep jumping. This is us going forward.
for sure.
Yeah, so Taz, thanks for coming out. Definitely looking forward to 2022 costumes. This year, I'm looking forward to the first fete to step inside. I think that's it for me. I'm gonna start balling so because skipping a year of carnival was not it.
It's hard. It's one of those things that you couldn't have imagined yourself not doing.
Yes.
And then it slapped you right in your face. And yeah, I mean, we got by it, and definitely looking forward to the next revolution of carnival and mass and outside and entertainment and design and the world, period.
Yeah, and we've had enough time that when we step back outside is going to be it.
Yeah, it is.
In 2014, I was approached to decorate a convertible for Leander Novek when she went in for, not Miss Antigua Barbuda, but when she went in for Queen of Carnival. And from that, every year I've been putting in proposals to do either floats, convertibles, trucks, and I've just been putting in the work. From there, the following year, I would have done the Calypso Monarch float. Channeling down from that, I would have got a section in the opening parade where I would have had dancers, music truck, floats attached to that, and worked along with the queens for some time also. And it's not just, to me, carnival. It touched different to me. So, like, you see me, but you don't really see me. Because when I'm there in the background working on floats, interior spaces, like I'm touching every aspect of it. Yes, I'm gonna sing Calypso. That might be the one thing. And I haven't been to Juve in years because I'm tired. But other than that, I make sure I'm touching these aspects because carnival is me. Carnival, well, I don't know if it's you. If you want to own it, you can own it too. It's for all of us.
So what's your earliest memory of a fete?
That would have to be White Fete. I remember just graduating from school, and me and my sisters went to White Fete together, and the experience was surreal. It was this huge tent completely transformed into club / VIP / paint, colors, LED lights. I have never had an experience like that before.
Alright, so what would you say was the biggest takeaway from that first fete experience for you?
I think I would have to say it's the full experience in terms of from entrance right into the music. I've been to White Fete after that, and it has given a different experience in terms of from the time you get there, everyone is in there all white, it's a whole dress up kind of feeling, and it's just surreal. Like, I've been to other fests. Yes, you dress up to go to other fests, but this one, when you get there, it's just like...
White Fete was completely different, for sure. But I remember our first fete experience being stage.
Stage, definitely.
So I feel like White Fete was a lot more about the whole fete experience for you, which makes sense for you. But I think as a person who experiences you as a fetter, I think fetes like stage is where Kevon the fetter comes to life.
Definitely.
I think that's the first fete experience we had, and I didn't realize how serious of a fetter you were until we had that experience. What happens for you? What is it about fetes for you outside of just having the experience being a beautiful one? Like, what happens for you?
Our first stage together was definitely ARG.
That was the year Marshall came out with Epic.
Epic, and I had the Epic shirt.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I had all the paraphernalia. Happiest man alive.
Oh,
Epic.
yes. I remember when Epic started to play, and it was like, give me room.
Yep.
Give Kevon room.
Yep.
Give Kevon room. And I feel like were you designing or were you decorating for fetes at that time already?
No, I wasn't. I feel like those moments are what created who I am now. Just experiencing being there, the lighting, you get like other people go to fetes and it's about, oh, the food, the music. To me, I take in everything. From the time I drop at the entrance, I'm like, okay, wow. If you can catch me from the entrance going and then there's a different ambience when you get back inside, yes. And then the lighting, the music, the performances. Like, for example, I'm confused as to what to do when a martial performance is happening. Because you want to wink up, you want to enjoy yourself, but at the same time, there's so much happening on stage that you want to take in at the same time. So it's like this euphoric neat feeling. Like.
And would you say that informs the way you design or the way you decorate for fetes?
Correct. Now? Because you have to basically take everything into consideration. The fetters, what they're seeing at the point in time while they're fetting, and you still have to keep it sophisticated in terms of they're the people who don't drink, the people who sit down, like myself when I get there early, because I'm one of the people that probably comes to a fet the earliest, just to take in everything first, have a bite, experience the whole ambience, and then move on to drinking and having a good time after that.
Yeah.
So you have to cater for the different types of people who attend these functions.
I love that, and I always see that kind of attention to detail when you do go in, and you just know when Novek Designs was involved. How do you manage is my question, because I'm struggling to keep up with you, and you come, set up the fet, go home, shower, and then outfet all of us. How?
It's hard. It's really hard. So like I don't fet as much as I used to before, because after you set up for a fet, which is sometimes a 2-3 day setup, for me personally it's a full day setup. I can't function by the time it's a fet. So it's really difficult. I don't get to go to as much fets as I used to. So it's really hard for me to experience, to take in as much as I used to before.
Right.
You are the baddest, them can't tell you nothing, so give them your attitude. Go sick, make them mix it, put them in a check, cause you know you can back it up. Do what you want. Do what you want. Come off the edge, girl, send it back. Balance on it, don't make it drop. You got it. Walk it up. Twist up your face, now send it back. Any man where you want, just bubble for them. Them say people, man, comfortable. If a girl want vex, that a fishy problem. Not a thing that I fi do with you. Girl, you are the baddest, them can't tell you nothing, so give them your attitude. Go sick, make them mix it, put them in a check, cause you know you can back it up. Do what you want. Do what you want. Brush up on them, don't cut down. Slack. Tip it, girl, then don't arch ya. Back. Flip it and drop it, so flip it and drop it. So walk it up. Give it to them, girl, just like that. Any man where you want, just bubble for them. Them say people, man, comfort.